Hello, everybody. It's March 18th, 2021, a Thursday. Philip Reed returning with another episode of Civil War Chat. To subscribe, click on the subscribe button down here and also on the notification bell in the upper right. But the subscribe button is probably more important. Today I want to talk about the Boston Symphony Orchestra founder. Was he racist or naive? First, I want to show you a picture of a bust for him. And let me pull that up now. Okay, and enlarge it. Okay, there is a bust of him in Orchestra Hall, Boston, Henry Lee Higginson. I'll go back now and talk about his background and, give you the story that I think merits some analysis. Major Henry Lee Higginson founded the Boston Symphony Orchestra in 1881 and is honored with a sculpted bust of his head and shoulders at Symphony Hall. Until 1918, and incidentally, he was a Union officer during the Civil War. Until 1918, the prosperous investment banker was the orchestra's sole benefactor. Thus, for 27 years, he alone funded its operating deficits. An antebellum abolitionist himself, Henry was also a distant cousin to Thomas Wentworth Higginson, who was one of the, quote, secret six, close quote, New Englanders suspected of financing John Brown, who attempted a slave uprising at Harper's Ferry, West Virginia in 1859. Before he settled into a successful career financing such companies as General Motors, he and his wife Ada moved to Georgia at the end of the Civil War, where they bought a 5,000-acre cotton plantation near Savannah. In Henry's pre-arrival analysis, making money in their, quote, carpetbagger's paradise, close quote, was a, quote, simple question of being able to make the darkies work, close quote. The so-called darkies had a different perspective. They thought the proposed wages were grossly inadequate. As a result, the planting season that began after Christmas 1865 was punctuated by random strikes. Ida wrote in her diary that, quote, the darkies do not understand that they will not be paid if they strike. They do not understand the value of work and wages, close quote. Eventually, Higginson had to explain that if the freedmen refused to work, quote, we shall put other workers, black or white, into their houses, close quote. According to author Noam Magor, the, quote, Yankee work ethic was foreign to the freedmen who expected to live on the premises of Henry's plantation and receive whatever provisions were available. When they were denied what they wanted, they simply helped themselves, which infuriated Henry. Given the idealistic expectations of a New England abolitionist, Henry was disillusioned with the freedmen. Quote, as for blacks, close quote, he wrote, quote, the future is as dark as their skins. Their moral perceptions are deficient, either from nature or from habit or from ignorance. They know it is wrong to steal and lie, but they do it continually, close quote. After 2 seasons, Henry and Ida abandoned their so-called carpetbag paradise and returned to Boston, having lost about $10,000. Ida summarized, quote, if left to themselves, the freedmen would not have energy enough to be thrifty and prosperous. These imperturbable darks, the more I see of them, the more inscrutable they become, and the less do I like them. It is discouraging to see how utterly wanting the freedmen seem to be, and how much more hopeful they appear at a distance than near to. The Higginson experience seems to underscore the sentiments of a Black abolitionist named Samuel R. Ward, who once observed that white abolitionists generally only, quote, love the colored man at a distance, close quote. Perhaps that's why Massachusetts Senators Charles Sumner and Henry Wilson both voted against a bill that would have allowed the Freedmen's Bureau, on its own authority, to selectively relocate some blacks to the northern states. But that's another story and a good one. For now, I'll just leave it with Henry Lee Higginson, a major in the Union Army, who later became very wealthy investment banker, and for almost 30 years, the sole benefactor of the Boston Symphony Orchestra, where he is honored with a bust of himself. If you want to learn more about New Englanders during the Civil War, I recommend Trading with the Enemy, by me, Philip Lee. It's about intersectional trade between the North and the South during the Civil War. It may surprise many to know that about twice as much cotton was taken out of the South and moved to the North during the war than was exported through the blockade by blockade runners like the fictional Rhett Butler. Of course, the fictional Rhett Butler, gets, I don't know, he seems to get more press, but in reality, Northerners who went into the South and bought cotton from the enemy bought about twice as much cotton as was exported through the maritime blockade. One New Englander, William Sprague of Rhode Island, who was first governor of Rhode Island and then later a senator, and one of the wealthiest men in America. His family owned cotton mills up there. He was involved in trading with Southerners during the war for cotton to feed his mills. In fact, he may have even traded weapons for that. In the South, James Alcorn, who was the founder of Alcorn State University in Mississippi, a historically black college, also traded. He sold his cotton to Northerners along the Mississippi River. So this trade was going on. To me, the most fascinating part of the story is the Sprague story, because it seems like it's been shuffled under the carpet, pushed under the carpet, but he may have been actually conducting treason. So that's our story for today, and until the next time, thank you for watching.